Hi everyone and welcome back to RetroB8. In today's episode I'm going to be going through the physical copies of Amiga games I have. Well, this is going to be the first half. I'm going to put this into two separate videos because there is, well, not a massive amount, but there is a fair few that'll keep us going, and I'm going to have a little talk about why I used to play this game back in the day, because I only buy games that are nostalgic to me and that I used to play back then. So, without further ado, let's move on to the first game. And of course, this is Gunship 2000. Now, Gunship 2000 was a game that I naturally progressed to because I had Gunship from Microprose originally on the Commodore 64. I absolutely adored that game, and it was one of the few flight sims that I really got on with. I think it was because the game was a little bit slower, but the campaign and everything like that, I just felt in the game give it such a long life, and I'm pretty sure I got, well, it's one of the few games that I have completed, if you can class it as being completed, because I think after 50 missions you had to retire. But yeah, Gunship 2000 is just such a good flight sim. Unfortunately, it won't work too well on the Amiga Mini. As you can imagine, there's quite a few keyboard instructions in the game. But of course, you can download the CD32 version, which is already mapped for the CD32 style controller for the A500 Mini. So that might help you out. Hopefully all the discs are here. We've got 4 discs. And this game is complete because it comes with absolutely massive, and I mean massive, instruction booklet. It tells you everything in here, everything you want to know, everything you don't. Lots of Russian kit in here that you can learn about, because that's what you're going to be blowing up most of the time in Gunship 2000. And hopefully it's as good now as what it was back then, because you can't beat blowing up some Russians, right? Okay, so the first one, Gunship 2000. Not sure how much I paid for it. I think it was more than 10 but less than £15. But of course it was just a game I had to have. I spent an extreme amount of time on that. The next game is a game that I didn't quite play as much, but I definitely had a copy of this game, and me and my friend used to play it quite a bit. It was one of the first games that I remember playing where you could control multiple characters, and the different characters had different abilities, and you had to use obviously different characters to get through the game. Now, not sure whether you know this one, but this is Interplay who made this game, and I think it was around 91, something like that. So getting on fairly into the Amiga life, and it was Lost Vikings. Now, I'm pretty sure this came out on the SNES first, and then was put onto the Amiga after. And there was a sequel, however, I'm not so sure whether the Amiga got the sequel, because that was about 97, so I'm not sure if Lost Vikings 2 was on the Amiga. I don't think it was. However, the first one was, and the first one was absolutely great. From what I remember, you'd been transported into the future. It was either the future or to an alien planet or something along those lines. Since I've got this back in the collection, which was only a couple of months ago, I've not played it yet. I have been getting stuck into the A500 Mini a little bit more. Screenshots on the back for you there. It was a great fun game. I did really enjoy this one. I'm just gonna have a quick look inside and make sure everything's there. I don't even know if I've opened it since I bought it. But yeah, we've got a lovely manual, 2 discs. And one of these pens. God, can you remember these pens? I haven't seen one of them for years. Wow. Well, do you know what? I'm going to put it back in there. We'll keep it for a little bit longer. So yeah, that's the Lost Vikings, and that's by Interplay. It was. Yeah, really fun game. Definitely give this a shot, guys, if you haven't yet. Next, we're going to move on to what is... If you think Amiga, you're probably going to think of this game. It had some of the best music. It was kind of, for me, it was kind of groundbreaking. I've never played a game like this before. It was controlled by the mouse, and apart from Championship Manager, I didn't really use the mouse until I started playing this. And of course, it's Sensible Soccer's Cannon Fodder. Now, Cannon Fodder got a lot of bad press for, of course, having a poppy in the opening credits, and they had to put in this as not legally endorsed by the British Legion, and there was so much put in the newspapers about it, which was, I think, meant to be bad press, but in the end, of course, all they've done was work in Sensible Software's favour, and this game become very, very popular indeed. I think I picked this one up for about £8 or £9, probably a few years ago. Now, it was one of the first ones I picked up for the Amiga. Once I got my grubby little hands back on an Amiga, because those things are going up in price now, getting very expensive. No pen in this one, but it does come complete with the manual and the 3 discs. So yeah, I've played that one quite a few times, but not recently. I've been playing it on the A500 Mini, which means that I'm going to be using the physical copies maybe a little bit less, so hopefully that might lessen the life. Of course, with Amiga discs, there's just a whole minefield of problems, you know, with mould on there, dirt, etc. on the discs themselves. A lot of them can be repaired. I've seen my friend Martin, whose channel is The Hobby Lodge. He's been repairing a few of his, and he's had mixed results. Some worked, some didn't. And also Scott, Sega Zombie, I think he's had a little bit more success with cleaning his discs. But yeah, it is something I'm going to have to give a go, because there is a game that's quite special to me. It's not in this episode, it'll be in the next episode. But yeah, I can't get this to work, so which is really frustrating. The next game I'm going to move on to is... it's the game with my favourite Amiga music on. I love this genre of game. I love the style of setting, the steampunk kind of feel to it. And yeah, it's what more can be said about the Chaos Engine. Now, Chaos Engine is one of Bitmap most amazing games ever. I mean, they did bring out some absolutely class games, but the Chaos Engine for me, I think, just about edges it. Love the design of the characters. I absolutely love the design of the levels. The music is absolutely fantastic. It's a game I've never completed. It may be a little bit repetitive for some people, you know, and if you don't like this genre of game, then you're not going to get on well with the Chaos Engine. However, I absolutely love it, and again, this is one of the first games that I had to get back in the collection. The Chaos Engine, I love it. I use it for so much background music in the videos. It appears quite a bit in the quiz as well. Like get a few questions in on the quiz. What did we have a look inside? I don't believe we did. Let's have a quick look in there. And it comes complete with manual. And this is the AGA version. So this is the A1200 version. I was speaking to my friend Nerdy Geezer about the Chaos Engine another night, but he prefers to play it with a joystick. He's having trouble with the pad, because of the layout of the pad, getting like the diagonals. He prefers a joystick, whereas I must admit, personally, I'm quite getting on with the pad really well. In fact, I like it so much, I've been using it on the C64, the C64 Maxi. If you do an update on that, then you can use the A500 Mini peripherals on there, so that's great news. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about a game. I didn't have this game, but I played it so much at my friend's house. Between the two of us, we eventually got through, I think, about 99% of the puzzles. Personally, I've never completed it. I've never seen the end, but this is one game that I absolutely must. See, I've always enjoyed like adventure games, you know, in the style of like Monkey Island, etc. They're always really high up on any lists I do for the Amiga. I just enjoyed them so much, the music and the nostalgia. But I still get nostalgia from this because I did play it a lot as a kid. As I say, it's one I never owned, and it's definitely one that you guys will hopefully recognise, and that's Simon the Sorcerer. Of course, if you've got the CD32 version, then you get speech as well. You'll probably really recognise the name of the guy who does the speech. It's Chris Barry, I do believe, who of course is Rimmer from Red Dwarf. But if you just look at how beautiful that game is, guys, honestly, they just didn't rest on the laurels on this. They put everything that they could into this game. Inside, I'm pretty sure this is a fair few discs. Hopefully they're all there. It looks like they are. Got our discs, and we have got a manual and a bit of instructions there how to download the game. But yeah, this is just such a good game, and definitely brings back a lot of nostalgia. How much I got that for, I don't know. I think I paid less than £20 for it. Most of these, of course, I bought off Facebook, because when you're buying from eBay, it's ridiculous how much people want for some Amiga games. This next game was probably one of my favourite fighters on the system. It's definitely one that you've heard of, and it doesn't really get spoken about a lot when it comes to the Amiga. Games like IK Plus, etc., they always take the mantle for being the best fighting game. However, for me, this was an absolutely solid conversion. I played it a lot on the arcades. It was definitely the one I played at the arcade. And yeah, I was genuinely surprised when Mortal Kombat came out on the Amiga, and I'm pretty sure it was only 2 discs. I'll find out in a second. But yeah, it was quite a fearful conversion. It even had like the spikes, you know, if you done the uppercut on the bridge, and like players would like fall down into the spikes, like stuff like that. Yeah, it also did support a 1 or 2 button joystick. So I've never played it on a 2 button joystick, but it's definitely might be something worth giving a try. And this version was not suitable for people under the age of 15. So obviously we'll put that down towards the gratuitous violence and the blood, etc. Inside we have our lovely manual, and yeah, as I thought, this game was a 2-discer. But yeah, that's definitely one that I used to enjoy quite a bit. Now, I've spoke about this quite a bit before. There's a few of these games, different versions of the same kind of game, and I quite thoroughly blame me feeling my GCSEs on this game. I don't know, if you've watched a bit of the channel, you might be able to guess what it was. If not, it is this. It is Championship Manager Italia. Now, this must have came out in 93, 94, around about that time, because I absolutely hammered it. Back in the day, my chosen team would be Juventus, and the first person I'd buy is Eric Cantona. I even remember that you used to be able to get him for 8.8 million. That's how much this game is ingrained on my brain, rather than English, maths, history and geography. No, it was all about buying the right players from the right clubs for Championship Manager Italia. Now, back in those days, this is when you used to have the transfer window in Italy, I think. But it was a little bit different in the UK, where you could still buy players by pretty much any time, I think. However, yeah, with Championship Manager Italia, you could only buy them at the beginning, and I think for like a 2-week break in the middle, then you used to be able to obviously buy them again in the close season. But we didn't know then that, well, I didn't know then that was a thing to come in football. This is a time when I still loved football, and I probably enjoyed it more than rugby. That's how long ago this was. Obviously now I'm definitely more of a rugby man, as you'll know if you guys know me. But yeah, back then Championship Manager was yeah, just a it was a must buy. It was a must, well, a must play. It was a must play. Only on the 1 disc. And we do have the manual there. It's not in the greatest condition, but it'll do. And yeah, it's just it's a very, tells you all playing strategies, all sorts of stuff like that. Now the problem was, I think every Football Manager game I had as a kid was always copied. I never actually went out and bought one, I must admit. So it'll be interesting to see if any of my tactics from back in the day will work on that. I've not played it yet, but it's definitely one that I'm going to put on the Mini and give a blast. Next is a game I'm going to move on to, which, as far as I'm concerned, is probably the best shooter on the Amiga. Unfortunately, you can only play it if you've got an Amiga 1200. It was never brought out for the Amiga 500, 500 Plus, 600, etc. It had to be an Amiga 1200. I'm not sure if it worked on any of the higher end Amigas. But anyway, I'll have to show you guys it because this is Banshee. And if you haven't seen Banshee, please go and have a look at a video of this, because I can't believe that this game wasn't made by Bitmapsoft. Because when you look at the back here and you see the graphics and just like the steampunk feel, you know, this bit here looks virtually identical to what you get in Chaos Engine. But what you do get here is just a sublime shooter. Yes, it hasn't got music during the game. No, you might not notice it because you'll be inundated with so many enemies getting absolutely torn to shreds left, right and centre. But I tell you what guys, if you can stick with this, there is just the best shooter in there. It really, really is. I'm not great at games, but even I stick with this. And it's so frustrating, but it's just, you come back for more. And that, to me, is always the sign of a fantastic game. Banshee. Definitely, you can play this on your A500 Mini, of course, because it'll play Amiga 1200 and CD32 games. Definitely play Banshee. Give it a go. Give it a go. Give it a shot. Okay, only 2 more to go. Of course, these are in no order. I'm just going through them. I just really want to document for myself what games I had when I watch this back in like maybe 20 years' time. So, a little bit similar to Simon and the Sorcerer. Simon the Sorcerer was another adventure game that I absolutely fell in love with. Now, I didn't know, but there's actually been a remake quite recently of this game. And, you know, of course, it's all immersive, 3D, and, you know, it's all of that shenanigans. They've definitely lost a bit of the magic of the old style adventure games, you know, but it's just nostalgia, isn't it, I suppose. Like, I'm always going to love the original that little bit more. Again, this is one of, if not the favourite game of Lee, the nerdy geezer. And it's this, guys. It's Beneath a Steel Sky. Beneath a Steel Sky is just an absolutely fantastic adventure game. The way you play the game, the settings, the jokes that's in there, you'll die a lot probably. The story, it all comes together for an absolutely amazing adventure game. Yeah, it's just a beautiful game. There's the screenshots on the back. The box, unfortunately, is not in the best of condition. There's a bit of creasing going on there. Of course, the label, I don't think I'll be able to remove, because this is quite like a soft cardboard that'll probably soak in any sort of fluid that you put on there to try and take it off. So I've just not dared. I've not dared go into there. You get all sorts inside. You get your technical manual, then you get your actual game manual, and then you get your security manual. So yeah, all sorts of goodies in there. And of course, this was quite big on the discs. 15 discs altogether. Remember when games used to come on 15 discs, man? Yeah, that was a big one back in the day for me. Spent hours and hours playing that game. Again, a game I've never completed, but definitely with being able to do like the save game states and stuff like that on the A500 Mini, it'll be one that I'm definitely going to go back to eventually one day when I get time. Yeah, it's in that list. Last but not least is a game that I used to play for hours and hours on end with my good friend Neil Cartledge back in school. We probably used to put this on at like 5-6 o'clock when we were doing our homework, and we'd be there till 9:30, 10 o'clock, basically until I went home. The setting for me always reminded me of something like Blade Runner. That's how like the city, like the landscape kind of felt. The game is one of Bullfrog's best, and it is the classic Syndicate. Yeah, you've got different factions. You can do espionage. It's like world domination. Are you good or bad? I don't really know. You just have your corporation and you need to come out on top. Again, this is another game that I never completed. But basically you can like upgrade your cyborgs and you just go around like murdering people or trying to persuade them to come to you. And yeah, it's quite a violent game at the time. Just quickly show you the screenshots on the back. Lovely intro as well on this game. Very cinematic. This part especially, where you can upgrade your soldiers. It always reminded me of like XCOM, but it's like, whereas that's like turn-based, this is like real time. So you know, you're actually playing the game in real time. So it was a lot more difficult, but you couldn't just go for a break. You know, you had to just get cracking with this game. And again, another one that I really enjoyed. So guys, that's it for the first episode of this two-parter, where I'm just looking at my Amiga games, the physical ones I've got. I've been lucky enough to collect these over probably the last 2.5 years. But that's the first half. The other half is sitting down there. There's some absolute classics in there, and I have been lucky enough to pick up another 2 or 3 that will hopefully come soon, so I'll make the second part of this video. So thanks for watching, guys. This is a little bit different to what I normally do, but I just wanted to sit in the shed and talk to you about some Amiga and a little bit of nostalgia in games that I used to enjoy playing back in the day. Guys, this is the part where I just like to say thanks for watching, and you know, I have a deep love for my 8-bit and 16-bit micros. I like to cover as much as I can for the Amiga, the Commodore 64, the Spectrum, and even the Amstrad, as well as a couple of consoles here and there. CD32, that's classed as a console, right? But yeah, if that's your type of thing, then please consider subscribing, and until next time, goodbye.